Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Reese. And here we are hopping on in only a little bit in Term 2 Trios, having dropped 92 players left. My name's Sundown.
And I am Sancho West, and this is where the action is going to start heating up. Considering that we have a little bit of a delay, this is now Game 3. Normally this was Game 4, so we got 5 games today. Tomorrow we're going to have 7 games, and that's going to be a wrinkle, a wrench in some of our trios plans. But this trio that we're watching, Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson, I think they deal with adversity really, really well. Sometimes Mongrel, who did it solo in Game 1, was huge in getting down there. But with the question in Sundown, can they temper their temper, so to speak, and slow down these aggressive pushes? Because we saw Wolfies in that trio go down after aggressive push.
So I feel like they've done that, right? Their first game was heavily placed on base, and then the second one they were able to ride it out to what was more of a traditional victory royale from them. And I would say the key is, you said they were good against adversity. I would actually say they're awful against a very specific type of adversity. When Mongrel goes down early, this trio goes from being one of the best in the world to like a subpar kind of like tier 1 EU trio. And that's not saying that Tayson and Mitro are that in and of themselves, but what Mongrel enables them to do, both from his eliminations and his clutch factor in the late game opportunity, it feels like he's the glue that really keeps them going. And even a little bit more so, it might be the added mental that when he's out, he's a little bit more of a detracting factor from the situation, as opposed to the other two end up staying pretty positive.
And I gotta say, something special about this combination of Sancho, Sundown, and Sancho. Right now, our picks are sitting pretty at first and second place. I don't know what it is, you know? All these analysts like Reese and Shio, hey, we're right here sitting pretty right now so far in the grand finals.
Yeah, but it's a long competition, man.
True.
We are 2 out of 12 games in, and I don't want to knock Reese yet because he seems to always have a way of just cheekily sneaking in there. Particularly, always has a strong day too. His team has a strong day too. But I think the basis around these two teams in particular and what we've seen from the first 2 games is how valuable those top 3 in the late placements really are in adding up, and the fact that you're just able to get there and add those points on top of them. Even if you're not able to execute the victory royale, you're going to climb up the standings. Then, if you have the ability to execute and get the 5 points that comes with the win, and generally you'll get 1 or 2 elims on top of it. So most often, a win in and of itself is a 7-point swing, like we just saw with Mongrel and Co. First place now.
Analex's trio is sitting in 3rd place. Analex being a duos champion, Giannis being the solos champion, all coming together to look for that trio championship. And they had some strong showings, a little bit of stumble in the qualifiers. Now they're trying to find their footing. They did really well in heats, but here we go, grand finals time, and they're in 3rd place.
And that was largely because, and Reese talked about this, that's his current prediction. Also, he's sitting at 3rd, so 1, 2, 3 for the predictions. Not too bad going on there.
Not too bad for us.
But a big thing, and he stressed this about this pick, is the reason why he didn't go with them before was because they were contested. And they don't do well when they're contested. They have a tough time getting off them. However, now in the finals, nobody else is fighting them, which makes them just that much more dangerous. And we've seen time and time again, Andalex in particular, if he has the ability and gets a little bit of room, he can go off. And then Squeeze really showed a lot of improvement during the solos competition, both the invitational and regular FNCS.
It's because 4ZR's trio, who traditionally land there at Sweaty Sands, did not qualify for the grand finals. They tried to qual in the wild card, went down to a duo in a trio. Nate was doing his best to hold on as much as possible. Almost fell short, came into top 3 in that wild card match. But here he is, Heatsy, Steelies, and Snag, who were kind of an underdog going in, overcoming their region in the heats, and they had the 1st place finish. And we have to keep an eye on this trio because they could, oh my goodness, the boat. Hello, that's a land speeder snipe right then and there from Heatsy, and they're vibing out right there. What a nice snipe. Woo! And they're just going to keep going. Might as well keep shooting.
They're trying to do the NRG Ronaldo special where you're traveling in the car, look out the side and just throw a little sniper bullet that way. Amplify, making sure he caught that one with his entire teeth. He's going to be able to get picked up, but that's a nice little bonus on the Storm Surge there. And you can see this is going to be a big Storm Surge game. Again, if you're unfamiliar with Storm Surge coming through, that's 25 damage every 10 seconds to the most passive trios. As no, Amplify ended up getting cleaned up. So the snipe, somebody else was nearby. They were bogged down in a fight themselves. It's just going to be Matzo and Centric ADN having to deal with that. So tough loss going over there, but a good point coming through, and ooh, it was a little bit beneficial for Matzo there, not losing the fall damage immunity from hitting the tree. That could have been absolutely disastrous, as we're going to flick on over here to another fight. That's actually Andalex and Co. going up against Blaster Alpha and Nikov. Nikov getting knocked there as actions continuing on the top right part of your screen. You see Janice and Squeeze putting the pressure down there, trying to keep the pincer. You can see the rest of the lobby kind of just floating around, trying to fight for space right now.
And the looming danger of Coral Castle out there on the left side of your screen. If it goes into a nautical area, we're going to see a lot of nautical warfare kind of breaking out, already getting shots from boats and snipes. And let's see if our top placement here is this another pick right there on the bottom right of your screen of Anas, Flick, and Thomas HD. But the story is Matzo, ADN, and Amplify dealing with the action of getting sniped from a boat. How can you predict that? You don't. And now they're going to be on their reactionary tail to try to stabilize as much as possible. And they do have those moments, but their neighbors are dangerous. And another dangerous trio who tend to put really back-to-back, strong, string-together performances is Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel. And this is where they usually heat up at this part of the competition. They do really well, and they catch Milan. Milan, you just got beamed. He was walking out the front door, and he gets hit with the clown emote. Oh, my goodness. They're feeling it, Sundown. They're feeling it. The swag is on for Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel.
Yeah, he's obviously never heard of closing the gosh darn door there. It's going to get him picked up and picked out of this competition. No problem there. As they're also, I was going to say, they might have been under a little bit of threat of Storm Surge. They were only about, I think it was 112 clear before that elimination ended up coming through, and that number squeezed up higher. However, now completely clear of it, 388 above as the rest of the lobby. That's the great equalizer and the action driven by the Storm Surge, just like that, 91 players down to 68. However, the action continues going through as Cartoon finds Nate, and Legends is going to clean up Smash Dave, aka Rojo. Mongo finding another one there onto Alexa, aka Queasy, and the eliminations continue going through, but our top trio sitting up pretty now. 3 eliminations, 52 points, plenty of shockwaves, plenty of excess shields, and I mean, you know they're happy with that.
Absolutely. Currently sitting in first place, right behind. We got a couple of Floki sitting in second, and Alexis Trio in third, Flick's Trio in fourth, Benji in fifth, and Kinzel's in sixth. I mean, I was just trying to think of like what the grand final is going to look on the EU region, because so many of these trios have the ability to win. It's any given time for them. And all of a sudden we're seeing there is an elite, if that's a thing. There is a premium cream to this crop right now, and Mongo, Tayson, and Mitro are proven to be that premium cream for everybody to kind of see what they could test their mettle. And so far, everyone that's contested them have kind of fallen. The only ones that do really well is Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD. They can contest, and I think it's that kind of that haymaker of hit factor that Thomas HD has with that sniper. We already saw him that he kind of almost messed up Mongrel when he gets sniped at that height in game 2. They were able to recover from that, I believe, and it was just showing you how dangerous Thomas HG can be on the rest of the lobby.
Vidil just cleaned up Floki and Co. Those were full eliminations coming out. So Vidil making it off of his initial drop. It took him 3 games, but now they're going through and beginning to scythe the fields, collect the grain and the bounty, and the first one to fall is that second place team currently going down. But on the other side of that Flick, Anaxa's swift revenge, and Vidil falls back to him. Some good pressure coming through, and this is when Flick does all of his work. We've talked about it time and time again, how Thomas and Anas are the strong ones, and Flick always seems to go down. Well, that's because he accounts for 75% of their eliminations in the pre-Zone 5 phase. He's the one who's going through and taking those early box-to-box fights, and he might trade out, but it sets Thomas and Anas up to do more in the late game.
It's like he's a starting pitcher for American baseball, and then you have great closers out there in Thomas HD and Anas. But the games are still going. We are just in the opening throws of the grand finals. This is game 3. We got about 2 more after this. We're going to take a break, a whole day's break, and come pick it back up for day 2 with 7 games. But that doesn't mean the FNCS Trios competition is going to go on a break. We still got NA East, and we have that amazing wild card game coming through, and that's going to be fun. If you missed out on EU, check out the VOD reviews, check out all those awesomeness. It was crazy to see how it go back into the old school days of all being a victory royale. But here right now in the grand finals, it's about your elims, it's about your placements, and it's about the great consistency factor. And the question mark already, Wolfie, CRR, and Kenzo did not have that consistency in game 2. They took our early engagement and paid the price, and they're looking like the exact summer fringe as ADN Wolfies gets right in that box where the ADN pepperfied. This unbelievable Wolfies just could just blaze it right in with those pepper power.
The pepper popped, gave him some plentiful points there, and it was ADN going down just outside of the range. A nice little body shot coming through as well onto another Train H trio there. That's Skype, Falconly, and Yagsuo. Going to be pushed back a little bit. However, the Wolfies Kinzel trio has 0, and I mean 0 excess shields. They have no minis, nothing to end up popping here, so it's going to be a little bit of a difficult fight. They're going to have to take somebody down very quickly and then either throw them back or get the insta-finish. Storm Surge turns off there as we have 50 players remaining, and we're transitioning now into kind of that final mid-game circle. We'll have circle number 5, the half in, half out, and then it's all moving zones from there.
And this trio that we're watching here has 4 Elins, but look at the loadout here at the bottom, peppermints. That is the ability to have that pepper power, that instant movement speed, and that's going to give you a lot of movement and ability. We just saw an example of a Wolfies, and he was just able to surprise someone who just had an open edit, who didn't close that door in the backside, and they paid the price. So pay attention to that. They do have a shockwave as well. There's different ways to take height. Crash pads, bouncers. Yes, shockwaves is going to be the greatest way considering that they're so rare, but an old school ramp rush with a pepper is an option. We did see that as well from Giannis's trio, who did a old school 3 metal ramp rush and overtook it and did a lot of connections. Tayson and Mitro or Mongrel are trying to connect their game 2 pop-off, and if they have back-to-back pop-offs here, that's going to be a big-time lead on the rest of the lobby, Sundown.
Yeah, they're going to be able to open up a huge lead, but right now a long distance pull and a lot of triangles between them and their destination. You can see placement points about to start coming through as we have our top 18, but this is when Mongo can be the most dangerous coming through, and we talked about it right away. That's Pink catching the pump shot on the other side, and that's going to signal go for them as they're going to try and get high ground, make sure they box around this. They want to clean up this trio. Already sitting on 5 eliminations, another down coming through. Can that be 6 and 7? That's Flois who gets converted on. They're trying to find the space where the revive is going. You can see him sticking it just a little bit over there on the side. They're not quite able to find it yet. They should have identified. Now they was able to rebuild, and they're refocusing their fire. There goes Mongrel to pick up the mats, and instead they're just going to regroup. So a little bit of caution coming through, but 6 points as well as the 2 for placements right now. So an 8-point performance from our game 2 winners. Looking good.
And the feed flick went down, and CRR got confirmed by Thomas HD. So just like clockwork, flick going down first doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just that is what happens with that trio. We're taking a look at Sweeze picking up an Elam as well. So here it goes, the rotation here, and I'm looking at it, they pull priority, but oh my goodness, Mongrel goes down. And we talked about the ultimate key that Mongrel is for Tayson and Mitro. Tayson and Mitro, who've done it before once, kind of capitalize and just return that favor, change the fate right then and there as Giannis goes down. Already big names are colliding so early here, and we're just getting into in-game. Zone 6 is going to go a little bit northeast here, and Andalix snagged right then and there with a big knock. He's going to get a moment to breathe and picks up Giannis, and Squeeze is there for backup.
That was a monstrous fight there from Andalix, using the wall and the ramp reset to just barely win the fight, going through there, able to also save Giannis and can make sure that they don't have to end up utilizing any of their extra heals. Janice not necessarily having the best health, but up on top here, Sapphic, VP, Siberia, Jake, and Irazumi. You can actually see a crash pad taking him from top down, so they're going to opt for a little bit of pressure on the farther side. He's just going to connect the builds. They should be able to get on that crash pad and continue riding out the high ground and down coming through there onto not Hellfire. So he's going to be taken out. It looks like Pink was actually able to get picked up there as he's able to get the confirmation onto Falconly, and we're going to begin closing in on the moving zones and where you're going to see a lot more utility B-Force. They're not up necessarily high enough to control ultimate high, so anybody with a shockwave or even a bouncer crash pad combo could realistically pressure them. That's why they're trying to rain so many shots down on the secondary height right now.
Here it is. They're seeing the stronghold, and Thomas HD, who's always so dangerous to overtake, goes down. So that's going to be a big pickup, and that's going to be a huge way to maintain height. If you take out those trios that tend to go for height late, go for those retakes. That's going to be a strong opportunity for you to walk away with the Victory Royale. Cybercade and Co. are looking good right now as we're seeing that the elevations go down further. Now we see the great split in layers. Low ground, mid ground, and height. Mitro and Tayson using their big closer and Mongrel, who accrues so much of their eliminations at in-game. They're going to have to do it as a duo in a trio. We've seen it happen before, but Mitro and Mongrel and Tayson, they're going to have a strong opportunity to kind of get the string together those great games, but it's all up to Tayson and Mitro. And taking a look at their kit, it's looking really good, but the builds are suffering considering that they're on soft mats.
Yeah, they need to find a refresher, but the zone going back, and right as I say it, Mitro finds Uganza peeking out there. Yesterday, it was Tayson going down early, and Mongo and Mitro who were able to just clutch it out for a huge W. You can see right now in the top right, Hen to Septos and Co trying to finish that. Actually now, as we switch to the 3-box, you have Andalex in our top right-hand corner there. Reese's pick in the bottom right-hand corner. Tayson, Mitro trying to come through, push forward, do their best on the low ground, and then on the wide, up on the high ground, Razumi, Sapphic, and Siberia Jake, but the challenge comes out. That's Hen going up Deceptos with him, but a little bit of separation going through. 2 bouncers used by Deceptos to go up. Patrick also lagging behind. That's the fight up on the high ground. Mitro in the lower right-hand corner, trying to find a little bit of space right now. Andalex also with the pepper going, has a really good layer and not contested, so we're just trying to see who's going to be able to continue the rotation as Doko lands directly on title Nuf's head. Is going to be able to find that one. The high ground fight still going out. It's crash pads and bounces galore as Hen hits 2, falls onto a layer, but it's still Patrick there. Deceptos finally goes down on the high ground of Siberia Jake, drops down to get the confirmation, but Razumi goes down to Hen, and Hen picks up 2 on the high ground. He's going to have the control there, but they're using so many of their resources that I don't think there's any possible way Hen's going to be able to ride this one out as Mitro picks up an Elim on the low ground, but Tayson goes out, and now Mitro goes up with the shockwave, crash pads himself back in, and now he's up on the high ground with a huge 100 into a 104, and Mitro in the bottom right-hand corner has sole control of high ground as a solo.
Oh my goodness, Mitro, you madman. You have height right now, and the world is your oyster. What an unbelievable play to take it. But it's now what? No way! With the big-time knock, Mitro is cooking up here, and we're getting into the final moments. A top 2 situation. Andalex, Giannis, and Duck on top X Squeeze are going to have to hold down as Mitro does go down. It's a strong opportunity for this. They're in the top 3 so far in the leaderboard, and now they're going to look for a great victory royale. We're in the last moments, and down he goes. But what a great performance all around from Slick and Mitro with some highlight moments. But the day this game, it goes to Giannis, Andalex, and X Squeeze, really rocketing down low there, Sundown, and able to take away that victory royale. You mentioned it. You broke it all down. It was that fight for height that exhausted, that did not allow height to hold on and maintain, and that gave a strong opportunity for the low ground to take away that victory royale.
Yeah, and you can see right there at the end all of the bouncers that were placed on height. Yeah. It wasn't even shockwaves. It was crash pads and the last little bits to try and get above it. But, man, I want to see that individual run from Mitro. It felt like he just racked off back to back to back. I think that was 5 straight eliminations there. However, the Reese Hub pick or the Shio Hub, whatever we're calling him today, his predictions don't change regardless. He's no chameleon there. 40 points, 15 eliminations in the victory royale there, marking the quarter way through mark. We're going to toss it back on over to Zeke, Shio, and Shio or Reese, whatever. Take it away.
Reese, they don't even know your name. What in the world? It's Riso Wager. Get it right, Sundown.
Riso Wager, Shio Hub. Combine them whatever way you want. I'm still picking that first team.
Dude, that game was absolutely incredible. Just like the craziest